اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب زدني علما فهما. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. So today we are going to cover the rules of the letter Ra. As we mentioned in the earlier classes, Ra is one of the letters that can be read heavily with tafkhim or lightly with tarqiq.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So can everybody please mute themselves? So the first rule when we are going to recite the letter Ra with tafkhim, and when we recite the letter Ra heavily, we have to do something called takrir. It has to resonate. It has to trill. The Ra has to trill. When we recite we have to look at what's on top of the letter Ra. If above the letter Ra comes a fatha or a dhamma, a zabar or a pesh, then this Ra will have to be recited a full mouth heavily with tafkhim, and we have to trill the Ra. So an example is here. The Ra has a zabar or a fatha above it. I'm going to lift up my tongue and recite heavy way with a full mouth. Rasul. If I said Rasulun, Rasulun, Ra, it would be incorrect. I have to lift up my tongue. Rasulun, Rasulun. So the one under it has a shadda and a fatha or a zabar on it. Again, if I say harrama, it will be incorrect. So I have to recite it with a full mouth and resonate the Ra a little bit. Harrama, harrama. If I resonate it too much and I say harrama, harrama, that would be incorrect. So under trilling and over trilling are both wrong. So we have to recite it as harrama. Would somebody like to have a go at the next two? So this word, so the Ra here has a pesh on it or a dhamma on it. Can somebody tell me, are we going to recite this with a full mouth or an empty mouth?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, sister.
So this one will be with a full mouth.
That's right.
غيره.
Ahsanti. غيره. That's right. And what would the wrong way of reciting this be? If you recited it lightly, what would it sound like, please?
غيره.
Yes. So recite it the correct way again.
غيره.
Ahsanti. So you lift up your tongue and you resonate the Ra a little bit. Can you please recite the one under it as well? Is that going to be, that is a full mouth because of the fatha that's above it. So please recite that in the wrong way first, then the right way.
الرحمن.
That's incorrect.
Yes. الرحمن.
Ahsanti. That's correct. Would anybody like to have a go at the next two?
Sister, may I try through?
G, please. So here, yes.
رزقنا.
So the qaf here, although we haven't done the rule of it, but the qaf is a heavy letter. So try and echo it a little bit. رزقنا. Ahsanti, you read the right, correct.
رزقنا.
Ahsanti. If you do the one under it, please, but do the one under it in the wrong way first. So make your Ra light and put your tongue away from the roof of your mouth and towards the bottom and read it lightly first. And that would be incorrect because the Ra here has a zabar or a fatha above it, so it has to be read with a full mouth.
من ربك.
That's incorrect, yes, and please recite it the right way.
من ربك.
Ahsanti, mashallah. So The second rule for reciting the ra with a full mouth is if the ra has a sukoon over it. And so what are we going to do? So the rule number one was the ra has to have a zabar or a pesh, a fatha or a dhamma over it, and then a heavy ra. But if the ra has a sukoon, then we have to look what's before it. If the letter before it carries a zabar or a pesh, a fatha or a dhamma, then this ra will also be full mouth. So the incorrect way of reading this would be yurja'una, and the right way of reading this would be yurja'una. Yurja'una, with a little bit of takrir or a trill resonance, yurja'una. And if I over resonate the ra, then it would sound yurja'una, and that's incorrect. Yurja'una. Would you like to recite the next two examples going across, Sister Zahida?
وأرسلنا.
Sorry,
And the next one as well. So the ra has a sukoon on the next one, but before it, we can see there is a fatha or a zabar, and we know that that has to be read with a full mouth.
والأرض.
Ahsanti, mashallah. Sister Hamida, would you like to recite the next line, please?
وزارهم
So the dal, you need to place your tongue between your teeth and recite the letter dal.
فزارهم
So fadha, fadhar, fadharhum.
فزارهم.
Okay, so the letter dal is not pronounced as a z. That's not a z sound. In Urdu, it would be. In the Arabic language, it has to have this sound. So if you look at me, you need to place your tongue touching your top teeth, and you need to make the sound z. So 1 second. So now, because it's followed by a ra, and you have to give a heavy quality to the ra here because it has a zabar before it. So this is what you will say. فَذَرْهُمْ.
فزارهم
MashaAllah, Ahsanti, that's good. And the next one as well, please.
ترجعون.
So your ra here sounded light. Now, if you look before the ra, there is a pesh. So we have to recite this ra sukoon in a full mouth way. So try to resonate the ra a little bit more. Lift up your tongue.
ترجعون.
Ahsanti, mashallah. And the next one.
يسرناه.
So your ra here was light. You need to lift up your tongue and resonate the ra. So give it a trilling, like lift it up and make it, but you have to lift up your tongue.
يسرناه.
Ahsanti. Could you see the difference? So yassarnahu would be incorrect. Yassarnahu, you lift up your tongue. Turja'una is incorrect. Turja'una. So you need to make sure that you lift up your tongue for heavy ras. Ahsanti, that's very good.
Jazakallah, sister.
So now the next rule of the ra being a full mouth, recited in a full mouth, is if the ra comes at the end of a sentence, and clearly we have to change the ra to a sukoon. Now we've already done in rule number 2, if the ra carries a sukoon in the middle of a sentence, the letter that's before it. Ra at the end of the sentence, when it carries a sukoon, most of the time it would have a waw sukoon before. So we have to look at the letter that's before the waw sukoon. Or if there is a ya sukoon before it, then we have to look at the letter that's before that. Or if it has an alif, then we have to look at the letter that's before that. So if the letter before the ra sukoon also carries a sukoon, then we look at the letter that's even before them. So here, the ra of the stopping becomes a sukoon, and the letter before it is a waw sukoon. So we're looking at the letter before it, which is a kaf pesh or a kaf dhamma. We will make that ra into a full mouth. Okay, so here we would say shakur instead of shakur would be incorrect. Shakur. I lift up my tongue. So Sister Zahida, would you like to do the next two?
Right, okay.
Yes, sure.
Kafur, kafurun.
So because yes, kafurun is when we're not stopping, but when we stop, that ra becomes that ra carries a sukoon on it.
Kafur.
So
Kafur.
Yes. Sister Hamida, would you like to do the last one?
تفور
So lift up your tongue for the ra, please.
تفور.
Ahsanti. Why did we make this ra into a heavy ra? Can you go over the rule as well for me?
Yeah, because there's a page before the ra.
That's right. Although here it's not exactly before the ra. So the ra, and before the ra there is a waw with a sukoon. So we have to look at the fa that has a pesh on it. Ahsanti. Now the fourth rule that makes the ra into a heavy ra is when the ra has a sukoon above it, like here, and before it there is a zair. Now a zair or a kasra makes the ra into a light sound, like we're going to do in the next slide. But following the ra sukoon is one of the huruf al-isti'la. So do you remember the 7 that we did 2 lessons ago? The kha, ghain, sad, dad, ta, dha, and qaf. If one of these comes after the ra sukoon, then we have to recite this ra with a full mouth. Like the first one, I won't say firqatun. I have to lift up my tongue because the qaf is one of the 7 heavy letters, and that automatically gives the ra a heavy quality. Firqatun, firqatun. So, Sister Zahida, would you like to recite the next one, please?
مرصاد. Sorry, مرصادا.
Ahsanti. Sister Zahida, would you like to recite the next one?
Never. Kirtase. Kirtasin.
Qir. So lift up your tongue. Qirta.
Kirtasin.
Ahsanti, yes, because we have to recite the ta that's heavy, we have to lift up the ra as well. Qirtasin.
Kirtasin.
Ahsanti.
Kirtasin.
So let's say it again. So the qaf, the first letter qaf is also heavy. So you're going to keep your tongue elevated throughout. Qir, qirta, qirta. Although the qaf has a kasra.
Kirtasin. Kirtasin.
Lift up your tongue for the ra. Resonator. Qir.
Kirtasin.
Ahsanti, that's good.
Kirtasin.
Yeah. So now on the other hand, if the ra has a kasra under it, then we automatically recite it lightly. So if the has the vowels that go above, whether that's fatha, dhamma, zair, zabar, and pesh, or double zabar, double zair, those double fatha and double dhamma, then we recite it with a full mouth. But if it carries a kasra under it, or double kasra under it, those zair, then we recite it with a light mouth. Like the first one is ajri. The kasra ones are quite easy. Ajri, it's the fatha ones and the full mouth ones that are a little bit hard to say. Ajri, rijsun, karimun. Would you like to have a go at the same line that I just finished reciting?
Shall I?
Yes, please, Farwa, yes.
بسحره مشرقين وذرياتنا.
Ahsanti. So the second example is when the letter has a sukoon above it. So can somebody tell me now, in the previous rule, we decided to look at the letter before it. And if it had a fatha or a dhamma, we recited it full mouth. So if it has a kasra, the ra sukoon has a kasra before it, we are going to recite it with an empty mouth. Sister Hamida, would you like to have a go at the next 3?
يغفر لكم.
So make sure your ra is light. Now you're going to bring your tongue lower. You're going to move it away from the roof of your mouth and recite the ra in a low way. يغفر لكم. يغفر لكم. You have to give it a light quality.
يغفر لكم.
Ahsanti. And that's because this ra sukun has a kasra or a zair before it. The next one, please.
فرعون.
Fir'auna. Ahsanti. Pronounce your. The word didn't sound right because your ayn wasn't pronounced from the middle of your throat. Fir'auna.
فرعون.
Ahsanti. Next.
شرب.
Ahsanti. That was good. So rule number 3, when we decide to make the ra into a light sound, is if the ra has a sukun on it and it's at the end of the verse, well, it changes to a sukun at the end of the verse, and the letter before it has a sukun also, then we look at the letter that's even before them, and then we have to recite the ra into a light way. So here, it basically ends with the long vowel of the kasra, of the zair. So instead of saying qadirun, that would be incorrect. When I stop, I change the do pesh into a sukun, and it becomes qadir, qadir, qadir. I'm moving my tongue away from the roof of my mouth, and I'm the ra into a light way. Qadir. Okay. Would somebody like to have a go at the next one? Farwa, would you like to try the next one as well?
Yes. قدير.
So what would that become when you stop?
قدير. قدير.
Qadir, ahsanti. Okay. Sister Shireen, would you like to have a go at the next two?
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Alaykum.
खबीर खबीर
Ahsanti, that sounds light. The next one?
मसीर
Ahsanti, that sounds right as well. Very good. So now we have more examples. So if everybody does 3 examples, we'll start with Sister Zahida. So Sister Zahida, if you can tell us this, the top one is done. So because the ra has a zabar on it or a fatha on it, we're going to recite it with a full mouth. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to move my tongue to the roof of my mouth, and I'm going to resonate the ra and say harrama, harrama. So if you do the same thing with the next one, if you tell us why are you going to recite it, and how will you recite it, and why?
أروني.
But why did you? So what are you deciding? Are you going to recite this ra full mouth or empty mouth?
Full mouth because it's got a fish on it.
Ahsanti. So say it again, please.
أروني.
Ahsanti. And the next one?
مرتفع. مرتفع.
So what have you decided with that ra?
This one also has got a patient. This one has got a zabar on it, so it's a lighter mouth.
Is it? So if the vowels are on top of the ra, then is it light mouth or full mouth? So there is only one thing that makes the ra into a light sound, and that's the vowels under it.
And okay, then this is over it.
Yes. So look, the ra pronounced lightly, tarqiq, in the following cases. And if you notice in the following cases, the ra has either a zair on it, or the ra has a sukun and a zair before it, right?
Yes.
So if the vowels are above the ra, or the letters before the ra, if the ra itself has a sukun on it, then the letter before it has a zabar or a pesh, the vowels that go above it, then it will make the ra into a full mouth.
Full mouth, yeah.
So this one is a full mouth, right? So you want to say radifa.
Okay.
And give it a heavy quality.
Ardifa. Ardifa.
Not there's no
There's no radifa.
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 Ahsanti. So try to lift it up a little bit more and resonate it. Radifa.
Radifa. Radifa. Radifa. Radifa.
Radifa. Radifa.
Radifa. Radifa.
Good. So the next word, what are you going to do with the next word?
The next is under, so that will be a lighter one.
So try and say it, please.
Tariqin.
So now we did the 7 heavy letters. The ta is one of the huruf al-isti'la, the heavy quality letters. So you need to lift up your tongue for the ta, then bring it down for the ra.
tariqin,
So طريق
tariqin,
طريق. So you're not stretching the ta, you're stretching the ra because it has a ya sukun after it. طريق طريق.
tariqin, tariqin.
That's it. Ahsanti, well done. Sister Zahida, please do the next ones. And if you tell us how will you recite them and why?
So the next one is ra with a fatha, so it'll be heavier. So Israel,
Inshallah. Ahsanti. And the next one?
that will be lighter because it has a kasra. Shari'atin,
MashaAllah. And the next one?
that one has a dhamma, so it will be heavy. Minar rusuli.
MashaAllah. Ahsanti. So who would like to go have a go at the next ones? Sister, would you like to have a go at the next one, please?
Shall I?
Will you recite it?
Who? Which name you told?
You can recite Farwa, that's fine.
Yeah, I will, inshallah. Zikrillahi,
So what did you do with the ra?
because it's there on down, that's why it's not heavier.
And also we have the Lafz al-Jalala, God Almighty's name afterwards, and we did this rule yesterday. So
Yeah.
both the lambs under the shadda, what rule would apply to them?
So we will heavier when we combine this. Zikrillahi.
What's the rule for the lamb shadda that we did yesterday? So we said that.
Sorry, yesterday one, I didn't see yesterday one.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry. Okay. So lamb shadda in God Almighty's name, these two lambs have a rule, and they can either be recited full mouth or empty mouth, depending on what's before them. If before them there is a zir, then both the lambs will be recited lightly. So here there are two rules that you'll be applying. The ra zir will be recited lightly, and the two lambs in God Almighty's name will also be recited lightly because of the zir that's before them. And one other thing before I ask you to recite this again is the first letter. I know we didn't go through all the makharij. Maybe we should have started with all the makharij of the letters. But this letter is a dhal.
yeah, I remember now. Yes, dal. So zikrillahi.
Fancy, good try. Listen to me now. Dik, dik, ri.
Zikrillahi.
So you have to bring the two lambs. You have to bring your tongue down for the two lambs. Dhikri. Recite the lambs in a light way. Dhikrillahi.
Zikrillahi.
Ahsanti. You must catch up with the lamb that we did yesterday. Dhikrillah. You recited it so well right now. Say it once more, please. I'd like to hear you again. Dhikrillahi.
Zikrillahi.
The dhal, make sure it sounds like this. Dhikrillahi.
Zikrillahi.
MashaAllah. Ahsanti. Now, what will you do with the ra?
Ruziqna.
What did you do with it? Light or heavy?
Heavy because pesh on it.
Ahsanti. So say it again. Lift up your tongue.
Ruziqna.
Ahsanti. MashaAllah. That was good. Okay, so we'll carry on. So now this time the ra's carry a them, and you have to decide what you're going to do with the ra. Is it going to be recited full mouth or light mouth, in a heavy way or a lightly? Sister Hamida, would you like to have a go? So let me do the first one. So the ra has a sukoon above it, so I'm going to look at the letter that's before it, and that carries a zabar or a fatha, and that way I know, because the vowel is on top, I know that this ra will be recited with a full mouth. So the wrong way of saying this would be farshan, that's light. I need to say it in a heavy way. Farshan, farshan, and I need to resonate the ra. Sister Hamida, would you like to do the next one? What would you do with the ra sukun in the next word?
Yursalu,
You recited it heavily. Well done. Why did you do that?
because there is page on the ya before the ra.
Ahsanti. Well done. Do the next one as well, please.
فذكر فذكر
So what rule applied here to the ra sukun? Light or heavy?
light
Because of the
zab
zair before it, right?
sorry فذكر
Okay, so again we need to work on the makhraj of the letter dal, that's after the letter fa. So for the dal, you need to place your tongue between your teeth. Make sure it's touching your top teeth, and you need to make the sound z, z, not z, z. فذكر.
فذكر
Plenty, much better. Well done. Sister Zahida, would you like to do the next one, please? If you tell us what you're going to do with the letter ra.
Sorry. ترجعون ترجعون
Yeah, so you read the ra in a heavy way. Why?
because it's pesh on top.
On top of the ra is a sukoon.
The letter before that.
The letter before pesh, yes. So when the letter ra carries a sukoon, we look at the letter before it. And if that carries a zabar or a pesh, then we have to recite it. Plenty, mashallah.
ترجعون.
Sister Farwa, would you like to do the next two, please?
Zar'an,
So what did you decide to do with this ra?
heavy because zabar on it and it's joined with the ra.
So the zabar is before the ra sukoon. The
Before
ra,
the ra.
yes.
Yes.
Zar'an.
Zar'an.
And the next,
Wa arsalna.
that's good, yes. So try and resonate the ra a little bit. Give it a trilling quality, like takreer is called, but don't do it too much. Wa arsalna, wa arsalna.
Wa arsalna.
Ahsanti, that's good. Do the next one as well, please.
Yurja'un.
So lift up your
Yurja'una.
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 Yes, you need to trill the ra a little bit. Otherwise, it does not sound right. Sister Shireen, would you like to do the next two, please?
जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम
Alaykum.
मिरफक़न
What did you do with the ra sukun here? What did you decide?
जी you know it should be light because it has got a kasra before the ra has kasra but it has got so ra has sukoon but it has got a kasra before it
Ahsanti.
so it should be light
Say it once more.
and it should be mirfaqan
Ahsanti.
and then the second one it has got a fatha before ra has a sukoon but it has got a fatha before it so I should be so yassarnahu.
So your ra sounded light here. You got the rule perfect that you have to recite it with a full mouth because there is a fatha before. But you need to lift up your tongue.
Okay.
And you need to resonate the ra a little bit. Give it a trilling quality like yassarnahu.
Okay, I'll try. Yassarnahu.
Okay, so initially you resonated it too long. So yassarnahu, yassarnahu. Just lift up your tongue. Concentrate on lifting up your tongue.
Okay. Yassarnahu.
Better. Okay, so let's practice the surahs. The surah that we are concentrating on, Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Kawthar, making sure that all the rules we've learned so far are applied. Who would like to have a first go? Sister Samina, I've just noticed you are
मैं
here.
पढ़ सकती हूँ सलाम अलैकुम मैं पढ़ सकती हूँ
Is that Sister Samina? Yes, please, go ahead.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين
MashaAllah.
الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
May I stop you here? Now that's another rule that we have examples. So can you see the word sirah? Siratal. The ra has a fatha on it. Sorry, we have to, you miss the ta fatha. Siratal mustaqim.
والذين
So recite
صراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
MashaAllah, very beautiful recitation. Ahsanti. Who would like to have a go at Surah Al-Kawthar? I've noticed we have a lot more participants than we started. Sorry you didn't realize you were here. So who would like to have a go at Surah Al-Kawthar, please?
Shall I?
Yes, please, Anastasia.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum salam.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar.
So 1 second now. The ra here changed to a sukoon. It's exactly a recap of the rules that we've just done. Because of the stopping sign, we've changed the word to a ra sukoon. So now the ra has to be recited either in a heavy way or a light way. How are we going to decide now? Usually we look on above the ra. If it has a fatha or a dhamma, we recite it full mouth. But here we change it to sukoon. So what are we going to look at now?
We're gonna look at the raw sign because raw got fatha.
No, but
when
when we stopped, we changed that to a sukoon.
Yeah.
What was the rule that
So
we did? Let's
the
go back.
letter before.
We're
Sorry.
going to look at the letter before. Well done, Ahsanti. So look there, rule. We're
Yeah.
going to look at the letter before. And if that carries one of the vowels that are above, then we are going to recite it with a full mouth. So here, it has a zabar before it or a fatha. So this ra will be recited with a full mouth where you have to lift up your tongue.
Oh.
Kawthar.
Kawthar.
Yes, Ahsanti. Try it again. So you kind of Kawthar. Inna a'tainaka al-kawthar. Sister Zahida, sorry, can I just bring in Sister Zahida to recite it as well? Sister Zahida, would you like to recite that? I'd like to hear you. And then Sister Asiya, you can carry on.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna atainaka al-kawthar faswalli li rabbika wanhar. Inna shani'aka huwal abtar.
Ahsanti. Sister Asiya, would you like to carry on, please? So, Kawthar.
Fasalli li rabbika wanhar.
So again, what are you going to do with that ra?
Wanhar.
Ahsanti.
Inna shani'aka huwal abtar.
Ahsanti, yes, it would be heavy way. But you see, it takes us a little bit of thinking because we are so used to reciting Surah Al-Kawthar so quick that we don't actually think about the ra's at the end. Who else would like to have a go? Would you like to have a go at Surah Al-Kawthar? Does anybody else like to have a go at Surah Al-Fatiha or Surah Al-Kawthar and see if they are able to apply all the
I will, inshallah.
Okay.
Well, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna a'tainakal kawthar.
So, Kawthar. Lift up your ra.
Kawthar.
Ahsanti.
Fasalli li rabbika wanhar.
Ahsanti.
Inna shani'aka huwal abtar.
Your ra was good, but there's another mistake that you did. Inna shani is a lighter sound than a.
Yeah.
That's the middle of your throat, like
Okay. Yes, I understand. So
So,
shall I again?
yes, please.
Inna shani'aka huwal abtar.
MashaAllah. So I hope today's lesson was useful. I thought with letter ra rules take a little bit of a long time. Are there any questions? Does anybody have questions before we end the lesson? We're not going to go through Asma al-Husna today because it's taken quite a bit of time doing the rules of the letter Ra, but I hope everything. Yes? No questions? Okay, well, well done to everybody. I think it was a great lesson, and we've all participated, and your recitations were, mashallah, very beautiful. And I hope whilst reciting the Holy Quran, you are going to look out for the letter Ra and apply the rules that you've learned today. Thank you very much. Khuda Hafiz.